Fi, are you really just going to continue flashing at me until I open you up for you to tell me that my wallet is full? Because I really don't want you to tell me my wallet's full. I can tell that myself. So this is an interesting room. Basically because of this guy. But also because these eyes will not all open up when we're here. The third one's not going to open up. We're not high enough. He can't see us. So we have to figure out a way to get higher up in order to be able to get him to open his eye. We can do that by knocking down this block. Before, we've only been knocking down blocks to open them up and get their contents. This one, we're bringing down because we need to gain a little bit of extra height in order for the third eye to open. So we just gotta shove this thing over. I try to center it. And then if we're able to get all three of the eyes to spin, we'll probably be able to open up that gate. But again, if you're right up against it, pressing A will move it. If you're close enough to the gate, then, or close enough to the crate, you'll just be able to climb it up on your own. If it's a little bit too tall for you to do that, then you have to back up a bit and dash towards it. You'll run right up that way. That's my preferred method of going up boxes that you can move. But this gives us a small key that'll allow us to go through a door that was probably locked before. Now we can finally make our way back. Fortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to go back the way we came, because we had to drop down in order to get there. So we have to use our new beetle to fly through an area that we're not able to jump to ourselves and activate a switch on the other side. I kind of like equating the beetle in this game to the spinner in Twilight Princess in that it can be kind of useful, but mostly the puzzles that you use it for are few and far between. I think they use the beetle a lot more efficiently, or a lot more, often and well than they use the spinner, as awesome as the spinner was to use. And it brings about a lot of really interesting puzzles. It opens up a lot of areas that you really didn't think to explore before. It really opens up your mind to think outside the box a bit in terms of what you can do. I forgot that there was a bird statue there. I just tried to dash. So I think it's really neat how whenever they incorporate an item that changes the way you have to think in order to get through a dungeon. But of course, if we tried to cross the tight ropes here, these guys would knock us down. So let's knock them down. Usually I'm not able to make a wide enough turn after I clip the ones in the middle to turn back around and get these guys, so I like to do 2 or 3 passes. And he dropped a treasure! Or he just dropped seeds. I mean, I needed the seeds anyway, so it's not that much of a deal. And of course, just shaking your way up the rope is enough to get you off of the explodate. I don't know if they have an official name or not. What is with this temple and locking doors behind me? I don't appreciate it. But then here's another enemy. Now this one is unique in that it will always regrow its head if you destroy only 1 or 2. So the trick is you wait for it to attack you, or if it's already attacked you, it'll line itself up perfectly so that all 3 of its heads are next to each other, at least for a brief instant, and that's when you make your strike. You don't see too many of those in the game, but they do have a few of them early on that are in annoying places, to say the least. So if we can get this guy out of the way, he'll give us absolutely no opportunity of picking up whatever small treasure he may have dropped. This guy's blocking a gap, so let's just knock him down. Not very nice, but there isn't much else we can do. It's a really deep hole, by the way. And the beetle also helps to get switches like this that would otherwise require a projectile without costing you any ammo. So even though it does take a little bit longer for the beetle to get there, I do tend to think it's worth it. Because I don't like... Buddy, you coming? Oh boy, there's another buddy. There's so many buddies. So many buddies. So many buddies. So many buddies. Hey buddy. Hey buddy. Hey buddy. Hey buddy. Waiting for the first guy to do that. I mean, when we were talking about the red one that was on the rope, I was waiting for him to fall off. But for whatever silly reason, he didn't. The green one did, though. Happy he did. I also never took a look to see what that handle looks like. Looks like the Goron's ruby. Or maybe just stretching it for Zelda references. But your wallet was full, so you decided to put it back. Nope, none of that in this game either. So if you have a feeling that a treasure is going to have a rupee in it and your wallet's full, don't pick it up. I mean, it's not too relevant for this dungeon or a lot of the other ones that only have like 20 rupee chests. But there are going to be chests later on that you know are going to have more rupees that you're not going to waste. And I couldn't jump to the rope. Brilliant. The nice thing about this game, though, is that you don't take any damage from falling into abysses, and I have a feeling they only did that because the game is kind of designed around the fact that you have to jump off of cliffs in order to call your bird. It's kind of the reason the game exists. Like, it's the main mechanic that it's all centered around. And anything that discourages you from doing that would be a little silly. But also, I mentioned some of the problems I had when I was first playing this game with the Motion Plus attachment as opposed to the controller with Motion Plus. I have a feeling they did that because they were aware of the recalibration issues too, and times when you would just randomly run into the wrong direction that you weren't intending to. And for the record, I swung my remote forward there rather than backwards, but it registered backwards for some reason. I'm not too fond of the swinging mechanics in this game. I mean, they're better than, say, Wind Waker, where you had to come to a complete stop in order to, you know, reposition yourself and whatnot. But, I don't know. Maybe it's just the fact that the direction that you swing isn't necessarily the direction that you're trying to go, or... It's kind of hard for me to describe. Maybe other people don't have an issue with it, and it's just me, again, being stupid. But it's not the most fun thing I find to do in this game. But instead of getting boss keys, we get missing door pieces. Because you may have noticed a really weird symbol on the door itself before we went in that didn't necessarily look like a keyhole. Kind of wondering what it looked like, why it looked like an H and not a key. Well, the carving that we have looks like an H, maybe. I guess if you look at it from the right angle, it does. So we have to twist this thing around in order to get it in the orientation that looks like the hole that we're trying to put it into. And this can be kind of irritating to do, but if you get close enough, it'll just accept it and allow you to go in. Well, look who it is. I thought that tornado I stored up would have tossed you and torn you apart. Yet here you are, not in pieces. Not that your life or death has any consequence. It's just the girl that matters now, and I can sense her here, just beyond this door. Yes, we plucked Her Majesty from her perch in the clouds, and now she's ours. Oh, but listen to me. I'm being positively uncivil. Allow me to introduce myself. I am the Demon Lord who presides over this land you look down upon, the world you call the surface. You may call me Ghirahuh. That! In truth, I very much prefer to be indulged with my full title, Lord Ghirahuh, but I'm not fussy. Did you really just draw your sword? Foolish boy. By all rights, the girl should have fallen into our hands already. She was nearly ours when that loathsome servant of the goddess snatched her away. Do you have any idea how that made me feel inside? Furious! Outraged! Sick with anger! This turn of events has left me with a very strong appetite for bloodshed. Still, it hardly seems fair, being of my position, to take all of my anger out on you. Which is why I promise up front not to murder you. No, I'll just beat you to within an inch of your life. So we've got Demon Lord Ghirahuh as our first boss, and this guy likes to teach you not to telegraph your attacks. For instance, I'm holding my sword to the right as if to make a left swing. If you do that, he will not block it for some stupid reason. He's designed to block in the direction that you're holding your sword. So if you hold it in that direction and quickly swing in the other way, he will not be able to defend your hit. If you do swing in the same direction that he is holding up his hand, he will grab your sword and taunt you. So I don't think he will outright attack you in that phase at all. But he will now that he has his own sword. So you might want to be prepared. If he charges at you and you swing in the right direction, you would be able to cut him off. And he'll also bring these up. You can deflect them away with a spin attack or a slice of the sword in any direction that you need. But as long as you swipe at him in the direction that he's not defending, then he's not going to harm you too much. But all of the pots will have hearts for you. You can dodge out of the way of those needles if you want, but as long as you attack in the direction that he's defending, he's not going to let you get away with it. But with good timing, you can deflect just about all of his attacks. Again, since I'm terrible at, say, shield bashing, I'm not going to bother with it. I think the direction that you hold up your sword to slice him after he charges at you also impacts whether or not you're able to successfully block it. But each of these pots have hearts in them, so if you want to be extra careful, you can grab a couple of those. I prefer to just jump out of the way of these when they're at an awkward angle, just because it's easier to block that way. But again, the key with this guy is patience. I feel like that's one of the reasons why people don't enjoy the swordplay in this game all that much, because the best way to gain an opening on these guys is to be patient with them. wait for them to give you an opening. And if you aren't patient enough to do that, if you just go in guns a-blazing, then you're not going to have a very fun time. Well, you put up more than a fight than I would have thought possible out of such a soft boy. But don't clap for yourself quite yet. That sword of yours is the only reason you still live. I fear I spent far too long teasing and toying with you. The girl's presence has all but faded from this place, which means there's no reason to linger here. Goodbye, Sky Child. Run and play this time. Get in my way again, though, and you're dead. Can we just take a second to appreciate how beautiful the heart containers are in this game? Because they're kind of beautiful. I like how it takes the time to fill up, stops for a brief second, and then gives you the indication that you expanded your health. So Zelda was here, but she left? How did she leave? Where is there to go? Look at this place. It's so beautiful. You can see the sky and everything. Maybe that's why they call it Skyview. I don't know. You may have also seen there was a rupee on top of that column there. You can get it with the beetle, but since I have a full wallet, I'm not going to bother with it. And another thing that you can get now, although we will be back here later, so you don't have to do this now, I will do it now just so we can get the treasure. There's a goddess cube. Because once we activate the... I don't know what you want to call it. When we activate the goddess's crest up here, it's going to take you into a cutscene, and then after it, immediately eject you. So, if you want to pick up that goddess cube, do it before you strike this. Master, I have a message written in the language of the gods of old. Allow me to translate for you. From the edge of time I guide you, the one chosen to carry out the goddess's mission. The spirit maiden who descended from the clouds must travel to 2 sacred places to purify her body. You stand in one of those places, Skyview Spring. The other is known as the Earth Spring. This second spring is hidden away deep within the scorched earth of Elden. The Spirit Maiden, ever mindful of the heavy task entrusted to her, has set out for this second sacred place. That looks just like the statue up on Skyloft. And wouldn't you know it? It's that same statue that gives us another piece of the tablet. I'm guessing this will open up that place called Elden, right? And she goes back into her sword and comes right back out to tell us exactly what she just told us. Probably a good idea to go to Elden, but that's a good point. How did she get from there to here if we have to fly? Probably a good idea. That'll also open up a number of other things for us.